Welcome to Káti's podcast. Today we are welcoming the beautiful, powerful, magical being Yanina. Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to do this with you and just play in the realms that we both create. And today we're going to be talking about self-love and just what that entails within our lives and in our bodies. And so I'm really excited to do this with you and just create and just have fun and see what flows. And Yanina is a wonderful earth woman, and she this morning she's like making these beautiful cacao gifts and tea blends, and the way that she just expands her life and her own spiritual practice within her community and offerings is just really special. So I'm so glad to have you here and just share the wisdom that you have. And yeah, so we're gonna start off with a little meditation. Look at this amazing, if you're on the video, Nina's holding this really beautiful drum that is light pink
with a
wow, rose quartz.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Really bringing the heart medicine,
Wow.
which is beautiful because we're talking about self-love.
I love that. So we're just gonna sing a little bit and feel free to tune in, and then we're gonna start. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
There's so much beautiful power with the shamanic drum.
Yeah. I felt you in it, and just like just what you're creating, and it was just beautiful to feel that with you.
Thank you, Káti. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, so this is like fun. It's gonna be a little conversation, and also just a way to get to know each other better, and like just like play. So that was so how did you get this?
Yeah, so I went to Mexico and I was working with some mentors over there, and we had a experience with being in ceremony, and I had almost close to the opportunity to being able to get my medicine drum from Mexico.
Wow.
But you know, it just happens, you know, with the universe.
Yeah.
That wasn't the moment. So came back home, and I just started really like seeing some like videos on YouTube, and I ran into this really beautiful person that has so many beautiful drums that they offer and that they create in Ukraine. And I was like just looking at through some of the beautiful like drum, you know, with the art and what energy it gives out. And of course, I saw this pink one. Aww. And I'm all about bass. Like, I just love bass, the way the energies flow and how you can feel it through your heart. And I was like, yes, this is my drum.
It's pink.
And it's so different,
It's so cool.
Yeah,
it's so unique, and it just shows the uniqueness.
Thank you, and I'm so honored. Like, I think that I'm still in the journey of like really connecting with it, but I really have so much honor for the shamanic drum and its medicine, and
beautiful. Well, thanks for journeying with that. I already feel like heart open and just like just feeling the love and the presence of this. So thanks for doing that. And do you want to share a little bit about yourself? Like, about, you know, like what your journey has been like for, you know, we're talking about self-love today. So today we're going to talk about self-love and what that looks like for you. Maybe what's alive in you right now when it comes to that.
Yeah, what's alive with me? With self-love. I mean, I think it really comes down to like being able to take a pause with yourself, because I think that there's so much medicine with being self-aware. Because like if a lot of us were a little bit more self-aware of like our thought patterns and really we're super intentional with like, how is my energy like this morning, and how am I bringing my energy, you know, when I'm with others, then I think that those are the practices that make me feel so alive, and feel that ultimately pour into like my self-love journey.
And so what is your journey been like around self-love? So like what is like, is there any like pivotal moments in your life that were like to where you are today, handling this holistic experience that you're living now, and the way that you're showing up in your communities through your offerings, and like was like a pivotal point? I'm just curious if you want to share a little about yourself.
I really love that question, because it's such a it's like a hard question, because my journey has been deeply rooted in my self-discovery journey, which is why again it's tied to, you know, being self-aware. But I feel like I grew up in a home where it was like very there wasn't very emotional balance in my home, and I was a lot of the times walking on eggshells, and I felt like I was having to be, I'm the oldest of 4 girls, so I feel like I had to, you know, protect my siblings, and it really was like living from a space of like survival mode and not much of imagination. So then when I left home for college, then I went to the other extreme, and I really disconnected 100% from myself, in a sense of like using alcohol, drugs, you know, just partying it up. And then ultimately that led me to like the darkest night of my soul, where I like hit rock bottom. Like I was so disconnected with myself and who I was. I was homeless. Like I didn't have any money in my pocket. Like it was when I say I hit rock bottom, I hit rock bottom. And you know, I really questioned one day of like looking in the mirror and just being like, okay, am I gonna get back to myself, but then I remember like being back to myself felt so uncomfortable too, and so I was like, okay, this is really about starting from the ground up, and I don't know what that looks like, and it's fucking scary, but here we go. And so I started my self healing journey, and it felt so confusing. I felt like I didn't know where to really start. Where it started for me was like going to the gym, so that's where it started. But I knew that it was like so many other layers. I just didn't really know exactly what layers had to be shed. And then eventually I started going to therapy, and then I started working on my mindset, and I started eating healthier, and it just started all kind of like making a little bit of sense. And it was really all the predictable moment where like I was listening to a podcast, and I learned about that ecstatic dance existed. And I was like thinking to myself, like, there's no way that there's ecstatic dance in North Carolina. But I looked it up, and there was in Durham, which I used to work at a bank that was 5 minutes away from Durham LAC. So I actually went like one of the days, and I was like too nervous, but came back a month later, and that's when my journey began with like that somatic practice, movement practice, and brought so much healing, so much connection with beautiful people like yourself, and others, and eventually just really started regaining that power and remembering who the fuck I was. So so that's kind of like what my journey has been like. It really has been about self-discovery and being able to provide that inner child, that love for myself, and like reparent myself of like what I didn't get to receive when I was a child.
Beautiful. It's just, like, I didn't know that, just like that part of you that was like so lost and drinking into like to the homelessness, and like like that is your rock bottom, and like it's just beautiful to see the woman that you are today, and like the way that you show up, and like for your all your offerings in your community, and just like and it's like not linear, right? Healing is not linear. There's no like I've made it, like here we are, like right? It's not, but it's like you're it's like you're giving back and serving with like all of your the way that you're healing too, it's not not just like it's not, it's like healing, giving, healing, serving, right? And just like and that's so cool that you got to experience that dance, and like that's where you found yourself too. And
it's like finding your tribe locally.
Community.
But I think what you were saying is like about your offerings and your services. It's like I feel like through that self-discovery, I did start understanding like what my purpose is, what my intention is, and I think that really comes from taking a moment of pause with yourself, because we go in such a fast pace, and we don't really sit and understand like, okay, we can set up a lot of goals, and I want to become this or do this, but what about really sitting with what your mission is? And I think that that's kind of what has continued to help me with my intuition, like sinking in of like, okay, this is what the higher power of the universe wants me to do, and I'm just a channel of it.
When you say pause, like that really spoke to me. We had breakfast this morning, and you mentioned that a couple times, and I'm like, oh, like I'm just curious to hear more about that. Like, that feels really alive for you, and so I'm just like, I'm really curious. You could expand on that. Like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean to you?
What does that mean? Pause. So,
like, what is your experience around that?
My experience with that is like, for example, I offer. So I've actually created like Ser Ritual to be a ritual, a cacao herbal blend company, and I think that really is tying it back to what I mean by pause. pause of going with the natural rhythms.
Right.
You know, I think that sometimes we're really trying to resist or like force ourselves from going in the natural rhythms. Like, for example, right now, you know, we're moving into the winter.
Yeah.
And so really being intentional about like how are you setting, like, even for example, like, how are you setting your calendar? You know, like, are you taking really moments to pour in back to yourself so that you can allow like that vision and those intentions to be truly planted into the earth? Or even in the mornings, a more practical thing, like in the mornings, like really taking a moment to like be in a quick meditation and like set an intention to your tea, set an intention to your cacao drink, or what your preferred drink is in the morning, you know, and that you take, you know, throughout the day an intentional deep breath, because things are coming up, or that in the morning on a Saturday you originally had plans to do all your errands, but that you really sink into that energy and universe tells you, actually, like, you might just need a bath this morning, like a bath in rose petals with ginger, because I did that on Monday. Like, I had a full to-do list last Monday, and the universe was like, no, like, it's time to take a pause and take a rest. And so that's kind of like what I mean, really listening into your intuition, and what's showing up, and not go against those natural rhythms.
Like listening to the body, what does the body need in this moment? Because even though like I'm listening to what's going on around you, and like tuning into that, and like what's going around you, and like with also the nature itself, because even when you go outside, you know, you see that all the trees are going back into their cocoons. So I'm curious now, like, what your spiritual practice is, like, you know, like, around, and we listened to like beautiful medicine music this morning, and so, and before this we sang a beautiful song that I'm into, like, God frequency, and which is really fun. And I'm curious what God means to you, and what the unseen means to you.
Ooh, I love that. I think what God means to me is like higher power, universe, nature, wisdom. I think that it's like a little bit of combination of all those things. It's like this and higher power energy that you know, that lets you know that you're part of everything, that it's not just about you. Like, you're in sync, you're in connectedness with everybody. You're connected with the plants, you're connected with humans, and that you are one. So I think that's what it means to me. I don't know if that was helpful.
Like, what I hear you saying, it's like in every action that we are taking, we have a choice. Are we gonna go into fear or love? And love or God, or like, are we gonna, like, what energy are we tapping into? Because every action that we make, we don't even realize the impact it makes on people in the house, people outside of the house, people that we're not connected to, but we are, right? Like, we're not like talking to them, but we are spiritually connected and energetically connected. Doesn't matter how many cords you cut. You know, you're gonna be connected to them. And so how are you gonna like be centered and live your life of love? And so that's gonna like amplify whether you actually realize it or not. And so
I love that. And I think that brings me to like tying it to self-love and everything, like being present. Being present, but to be present, it's like having those practices of your own rituals, and taking a moment of pause for yourself. Within it comes back to being, you know, in that frequency of love, which is like the frequency of the universe as a whole. And, you know, to what you just said, and how it all connects to our actions, have those ripple effects with everyone else, you know. So it's like all tied a little bit together with one another.
Like, how are you nurturing your vessel in the moment, because like in order to be of service, you have to fill your cup up first.
Yes.
And like
easier said than done too, because it's like they tell us that all the time. I think, and I feel like that's why the messages continue to come like differently through different people, like through music, or you know, someone says it in a different way than others. But it's like the message is always about like pour your cup. And the thing is that, you know, especially as women, like we're such nurturers, and so we're, you know, showing up for so many different, you know, we're showing up for so many, for our communities, for our families, you know, for our pets, you know, it's just so many different areas. And so like we really, really have to be so intentional, especially as we transition into, you know, possibly becoming mothers, or, you know, or having devoted relationship with partnership, or, you know, a newborn idea was birth, you know, that you continue to have like such groundness with yourself, so that everything else, you know, continues to move and flow.
Yeah. Wow. So many birthings. So many birthdays.
Wait, I love that. Birth, baby.
Let's go. Like, we are powerful women. We can birth anything we want. Men can too. It's just different.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's so inspiring. Like, like family and relationships and the way we're serving. And just self-nurturing ourselves so that we can, fill from that, give from the overflowing cup. And also just like, it feels so much better to serve too. It's just like, But what's interesting I actually found was like sometimes like when I don't feel like serving and I do serve, it also feels good sometimes. Sometimes I'm in my pain body and I'm just like, oh no.
Let's keep going.
I'm in my pain body and I'm like, I'm so stressed. I'm so like irritated or blah blah blah, or I don't feel like serving, and then I do serve in that uncomfortableness, and I'm like, wow, this actually feels really good. Like I actually feel really good by serving. Does that make sense? I feel like sometimes it is this like, it's like self-love, nurture your cup, fill it up, right? Fill up that love, the energy, God energy, and then like serve. But then sometimes I'm like, this is a little, I'm changing this topic, but it's also sometimes I'm like, even if I'm not feeling good and I like, all right, I'm gonna help this person, like that feels good too. Time and place.
Time and place. I'm trying to think like what's showing up for me with that. I might have to like reflect a little bit, but but I think like you do have a valid point, you know. Because
sometimes I like overfill my cup where I'm like, bitch, like do something, like you know, I'm like creating, or like I'm just having all these ideas in my head of what to create, and this might be medicine for some people, but just like I'm overfilling my cup. Does that even make sense? Like I've never heard that, but just like, okay, to the brim, how can you actually serve? We can get caught up in that like learning and continuing to pour into yours. Or
it's like the law of reciprocity of like give and receive.
Like girl, you know enough. Now share or give.
Well, and I think it is beautiful to get to that place, you know, when you're, again, it's just like being like self-aware and observant of that flow, because the law of reciprocity. It's like it's, you know, it's like that's the flow wherein you continue to like give and receive. So you're learning, as you're learning and you're feeling that cup, like then you pour it back into your community, into your people, into your family.
You're always ready.
You're
always ready. That's a medicine for myself. Cool.
I was just wondering, like, if we could say, like, if maybe somebody was, like, starting their journey, like, what ritual would be really good, you know, to start with.
What's something that's helped you?
I think for me, now that I think about it, like, because I was just like, ooh, if somebody's, this is for, you know, they're starting their journey, like, what would we suggest? You know, because we've both been on such a beautiful journey of our self-love, and so I think it's gratitude. I think that really shifts some paradigms. Is that how you say it?
Paradigms,
Yeah, paradigms. Yeah. Just simply starting with like, even if like it feels so uncomfortable to say like your current situation, and that you possibly are like not happy in your current situation, like finding small things of that situation that you're still grateful for though, you know. And when you continue that practice every day, trust and believe that your mindset will start seeing things from a very different perspective, and new opportunities are gonna start coming in. So
beautiful. That was, we all needed that one. It's just as simple as gratitude. There's so many embodiment practices and all these things, but it's like, just being grateful for that and coming back to that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you
coming on my podcast, girl. And I just love that you're still holding this amazing job.
Shamanic Drum wanted to stay with us for this conversation.
And we're receiving from you. Shamanic, does she have a name?
I haven't thought about a name. I don't think so. No. She's just my heart energy. Shamanic Drum.
Thank you, Shamanic Drum, for being here. Thank you, Yanina, for being here. You can find her on Instagram at yanina.chicas. Very powerful Latina woman.
Thank
you. So honored to know you.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for bringing us together.
Any last closing thoughts?
Just believing in yourself. Trust yourself. You got this. You got this, human.
In every moment and every day. And so it is.
And so it is.
All right, my loves. Well, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next one.
Besitos.
Love you all. Bye.